It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. Good evening, and welcome to Tuesday night on DJNTV. It is early for us.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, this is like almost supper time typically.
Yeah, we're 2 hours early.
2 hours early. But the reason why we're doing this early tonight is because we've got a ton of sessions. I'm not even sure how many sessions we've got, like 12 of sessions, something like that, of educational content coming out for you guys tonight.
A cavalcade, if you will.
A cavalcade. That's a nice word. That's the word of today.
Thank you.
Cavalcade. I like that. I like that a lot. So Brian and I are going to be your host tonight, kind of bouncing between the sessions and watching the chat rooms and kind of following along. So if you guys have got something you want to say or throw out there, put it in the chat. Tonight, during the show, we're going to be giving away 2 $100 certificates to NLFX Pro. So when we get to those points, we will tell you what to write in the chat. The chat only on YouTube. That is, we're not going to. There's going to be a Facebook stream going out there, but you've got to be on YouTube, and we'll put the link in. So if you're on Facebook, you can pop out to YouTube. But we'll be doing 2 of those, and then towards the end of the night, we'll also be giving away the presenter's $500. The second one of those is a $500 shopping spree at NLFX, because all the folks who put their time into creating those were entered. Creating the videos were entered in for the drawings tonight. So yeah, all right, we got some cool stuff. So Brian, we had a great night last night, and now tonight. We've got people from literally all over the world, and many of them, like Scrappa, are people we've met in the chill room.
Yes, Scrappa from Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, and we've got
joining us tonight.
Yeah, there's
Trevor.
Sharman. Trevor's coming in. We've got representation from the UK tonight. Gosh, there's people across the United States, DJs across the United States, and talking about different things. So
we have DJ Liam from Bremen, Germany, joining us in the chat here on YouTube as well.
Excellent.
We've got JC from Mexico City, just kind of looking around. Bill Marsh from, I want to say Baltimore, the Baltimore area. So we've got all kinds of people who I'm just recognizing in the chat already who are saying hello to us. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you guys for being with us tonight, and we'll be getting to those drawings and different things as we go through the evening. So we've got a lot of content we want to get to, so we're going to jump right into our first segment tonight, and then we'll be back and chatting throughout the evening. Kicking us off tonight, we've got our own Michael Joseph here from the DJNTV channel. MJ is going to be kind of talking a little bit about curating your music for your events and such, and kind of doing it maybe thinking about it just a little bit different. Here's Michael Joseph.
Hi, I'm DJ Michael Joseph, and in my 3+ decades of being a DJ, I have had more conversations with other DJs about songs or music libraries than I ever want to remember. One of the things that seems to always amaze me and always come up in the conversations that we have is that I'm surprised by how many DJs out there actually don't spend a lot of time working with their music library, or at least not as much as I think they should. They might say that they work on their library, but what they're doing is that they are more or less mass downloading songs from whatever subscription service they pay for. Those songs go into a hard drive and at most may be scanned and never looked at again until they search for it. Now, one of the things I always talk about in my DJ classes is that I believe every DJ should curate their own music library. In my opinion, downloading mass amounts of songs and scanning them isn't curating a library. You just become a song hoarder at that point. If you don't know what you have and you're not able to put it to use within a few seconds, those songs then to me are just clutter and waste. Now let's take a look at a DJ as if he or she was a carpenter, okay? A carpenter has all kinds of different tools, just like a DJ does. A DJ has speakers and microphones and computers and controllers and all kinds of stuff like that. But what every DJ must have is songs. Now let's say I hire you to be a carpenter on some project that I'm working on, and you pull up to the job site and your tools are all just piled in the back of your pickup truck. There's no order, nothing's in any cases, it's just scattered everywhere, no boxes or anything. I probably would take a look at you and go, okay, that is not a professional carpenter. If your music library was like those tools, how would you look to other professional DJs? Would you look like you knew what you were doing, or would you just look like you're phoning it in? Now, having all the songs doesn't matter as much as you think it does. If you have terabyte after terabyte of song, but you don't know what you have, or even worse, only put a small percentage of them to use, what does that say for your creative mindset when it comes to DJing? If a carpenter had every single tool in the world but didn't know how to use half of them, I think that would be kind of sad. You might also say, I don't need to worry about my music library. I've been spending for years and I'm fine. But here's some food for thought. In case you don't know, there is a whole generation of DJs out there that spend time hunting and digging for songs. You might not notice these DJs because you might be used to a generation of DJs that go to an actual physical store and dig through actual crates of records or CDs. But this generation digs through digital versions of songs, and they know what to play, they know when to play it, and their sets are always fresh. They don't take whatever version of song their download service gives them. They go out and search for different versions of songs to see what might work in different places, and they're not afraid to try those different versions out. Let's go back to the carpenter, for example. The DJ that I talked about above, they would be the kind of DJ that would have all their tools in order. They would be sharpened if they need to be sharp. They would be ready to go at any time. They would know what every tool they have and exactly what that tool does. You too have that ability to dig into that world that they do. With the download music that we have today, it is an incredible, endless amount of songs that you can get a lot easier than you could 20 or 30 years ago. Where someone 20 or 30 years ago would have to go to a store and dig for hours and end up walking out with like maybe 5 to 10 songs maximum, the modern DJ can dig through 2 or 3 subscription services in about an hour and come down with about 100 songs, and they would be usable in all kinds of different applications. The sad part is most DJs only stick to the 3 R's: radio edits, remixes, or redrums. And those are utterly the good foundation that you need in your music library. You have to have all those kinds of things to start with, but there is so much more out there. There are endless clean versions versus explicit versions. There are redrums that can take an older song and add a new beat so that it's kind of like relevant to 2 different generations all at the same time. There are quick edits for getting in and out of songs before the crowd gets bored. There are transition mixes that will take you from like a high BPM to a low BPM or otherwise, all within the same song without having to do any kind of fancy transition. There are hook first edits that basically take that hook or the chorus and put it before the first verse to kind of get people's attention so they don't get bored as they go across there. We can't forget about the simple intros and outros where it takes a basic radio song and gives it a very mixable intro or outro. There's the a cappella intro and outros for doing all kinds of fancy stuff, and let's not forget the mashup. The interesting thing about this digital age of music is that you are never limited to just the songs that you download. Besides those songs, pretty much every single DJ software out there has access to some sort of streaming music service. As long as you have access to the internet through Wi-Fi or a hotspot on your phone, you have access to an endless number of streamable songs. So now imagine having a well-curated library and access to endless amounts of streaming songs online. If that doesn't get your creative juices flowing, I'm not sure what would. And if all the digital downloads or the streaming services aren't enough, you could make your very own remixes or edits. There are several free or very cheap editing programs out there that aren't too difficult. In just a couple hours, you can take a song that you wish began or ended differently and make it the way you want. If nothing else from both the download or do-it-yourself mindset, you can fix endless songs that have those variable BPMs. Why spend time chasing it, pushing forward, nudging backward, trying to get the song in the right spot when you can just go out and get a version that someone has already fixed, or fix it yourself, and you never have to worry about that again. I know what you're saying, I don't have time to mess with this, but how many songs in your music library that you play on a regular basis that you wish were a little bit different some way or another, or fixed the variable BPM or something? It could be an intro or an outro, it could be the length of the song or whatever. If you take time to fix it just once, you never have to worry about that again. So for the next decade or 2 decades of you spinning that song, all you have to do is load the song and play it. Now, doing all these things with the editing and your music library and curating doesn't have to be this giant and overwhelming task. You can start with just a few songs at a time, and before you know it, your music library will start to look all shiny and new. A DJ's music library is the foundation of their business, and in fact, I would probably say that their music library is an extension of their creativity. If you take a little bit of time and attend to your library, you'll find it's like tuning up a car. The car may have worked great before, but after the tune-up, it is going to be running awesome. Having a well-groomed music library will help you out in so many ways. It will make you sound more professional because you'll always have the right song at the right time. It will make your mixing more efficient. No more fumbling for the songs at the last second right before a song's ending, trying to figure out what to play or how to transition it. You will always have a full list of possibilities right in front of you. And finally, in my opinion, I think this is the most important, you will have more fun. A well-tagged, sorted library will free you up to observe the crowd and interact with them, pick better songs, mix more efficiently, or just simply enjoy being in the moment. If you don't believe me, I encourage you to spend just 1 hour before one of your next gigs coming up and work on your library, whether it be new songs or new versions of songs or edits or something. Start with the songs you play the most. Make sure that they are tagged correctly, set the cue points, sort them where you want them to be, get the edits that you want, or fix the versions that have a variable BPM. Get it all nice and tidy. If you take the time to do those things and you don't see a difference, I will refund the money that you spent on this free 10-minute video. All joking aside, I promise you that a well-curated library will not only make you a better DJ, but you will have more fun at DJing. Until next time, this is DJ Michael Joseph saying take care and God bless.
All right, we are back right at the beginning of our DJNTV DJ Talks 2020. One of the things, of course, you're going to learn some things tonight. There's going to be some motivational things and such. But one thing that we've seen a lot of this year is, since we've had downtime, DJs basically either getting back into hobbies or starting hobbies. Brian, everyone knows that you've got your YouTube channel and they've seen you and learned about you from there, but there's other things that you've been doing. What kind of other projects and things have you been doing this summer to keep yourself busier than you're super busy?
Yeah, I've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of practical life stuff. I've been helping the kids with things. Both of my daughters are homeowners in my neighborhood. So, and they both own their own duplexes. They're owner occupied, properties. So they've got tenants. So I've been doing work on those places. And for the last 2 years, I've been doing the 65 Mustang project. So that's still happening. And, other than that, I'm just trying to come up with really clever solutions around the house for storage, for just trying to make things more efficient. If there's something that's been broken and I've been staring at it for the last 10 years, I'm trying to get on it and fix it. There's quite a bit of stuff that can be done. But yeah, it's a lot of practical stuff, but it's fun and there's really no rush on a lot of it. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, I guess you could call it hobby.
And one of the things I think people would be surprised is the around the house, the repairs around the house, and getting into some construction projects that are repair projects that are probably getting a little bit higher on the pay scale. And you've dove right into those head first and really gotten some things done.
I don't care. I just do it. What's it going to do? Bleed? The house isn't going to bleed. It's not like I'm doing surgery on the dog or something, Like you just do it. It's one thing I found out a long time ago, man. If you go ahead and you tear a sink out, you're gonna have to figure out how to put a new one back in, because you can't afford to pay a guy to do it. So you better figure it out. You better figure it out before she wants to brush her teeth in the morning too, because otherwise she's not going to be happy.
There's going to be problems.
Trial by fire. It works. It works for me.
It works. So. Yeah, that it does. That it does. Hey, we're going to keep going with our show tonight. Up next, we got Jeremy Landby. Jeremy Landby's also one of our DJNTV folks who does a lot of the trade show videos. And Jeremy is also, one of his hobbies is selling used DJ gear. And he does that literally across the upper Midwest. And he's going to share some tips on being able to get your gear ready to sell.
Hi, my name is Jeremy, and I'm the owner and operator of Landby Productions, which is a production company in Minnesota. Today I'm going to be talking to you about 5 different steps in selling your used equipment. Right now, myself and a lot of you don't have a whole lot of events going on, or not as many as we maybe did last year. We've got a lot of equipment in our shop, maybe in our storage shed, that we just don't need anymore. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today about selling those pieces of equipment. My first step is, what gear do you sell? Well, I kind of look back myself and say, what pieces of equipment haven't I used in the past 6 months, maybe even the past couple of years, that's just sitting on the shelf, and I could probably get some money out of those pieces of gear. Today I've got 4 pieces of gear that I no longer use. First is a Shani special effect. Haven't used that in probably a couple of years. Next is a American DJ CC2016 light chaser. Probably haven't used that in about 6 years, maybe even longer. Next, I've got a Sennheiser lapel wireless microphone that was used for wedding ceremonies for pastors, and I would lapel mic the pastor for ceremonies. This is my actual backup that I've used, and this has probably sat on the shelf for at least a year, maybe even a couple of years. And finally, I've got a power amplifier. I no longer use a lot of speakers that require a power amplifier because most of my speakers now are powered. So I'm going to be selling that as well. You see a lot of my speakers in back of me. I do a lot of selling online, especially right now because I'm kind of slow on my events, and this is a way for me to make a few extra dollars on paying bills and whatever for this coming fall. So, like I said, what gear do you sell? You're going to go through your inventory and kind of look at pieces that you may just not use anymore, that are just sitting there collecting dust. Those could be worth some money, and now would be a good time to sell those. Next, know the gear that you're selling. If I'm going to be selling a Sennheiser wireless microphone, first of all, I want to make sure that it's in the right frequency that I can sell right now. I know the 600 series in the United States, at least, is a frequency that can no longer be used. So I want to make sure I can sell that in the right frequency. Also, my special effect light, maybe I'll get a question like, well, is it DMXable? That's something that you need to know, or you should know before you sell that item. Maybe my power amp on how many watts it is and what can it do, and maybe how I used it. So those things are important things to know before you start selling your gear online. The third thing I want to talk to you about is pricing your gear. Also, taking good pictures of your gear when you're going to be listing it online for sale. So for instance, if I'm going to be selling a speaker, usually I just want to take a picture of just that speaker and maybe not any of the other speakers around it, because maybe I'll list a speaker for sale that's kind of a lower price speaker, and then behind it I'll have a more of a higher price speaker, a high-end speaker, and I'll say, $100 for this speaker, but maybe the person looking at the ad will say, gosh, $100, I'll take that speaker and that speaker and that speaker. And some people just don't understand that. So a good way to do it is take a picture, or the pictures that you're taking are just of the pieces of equipment that you're trying to sell. My fourth thing to talk about today is how to sell your gear and where to sell your gear and where you list it. Craigslist has always been a pretty good place for the last couple of years. Scammers have kind of gotten into Craigslist, so it hasn't been as appealing as it was maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. Marketplace, Facebook, which pretty much everybody is on Facebook, is a really good place to sell. That's where I try to sell some of my used gear. Like I said, taking a really good picture of it and putting it up online usually gets a hit or two of a message that I'll get from somebody looking to buy that piece of gear. The fifth thing I want to talk to you about today is being open for different types of payments. For instance, this morning, I sold a couple of microphones to a gentleman. He didn't have cash. I don't like to accept a check, and cash is usually king when it comes to selling equipment. But if you're open to doing a little bit more than just cash, maybe using Venmo, which I used this morning, or if you've got a way to take a credit card, Square is one that I use myself. That's a really good way to open up different ways that you can take payments for this used equipment. Another thing I got to talk to you about, something I may have skipped over, is where to sell this gear. Online, yes, but who am I selling it to? For instance, I've got a disc jockey company and a production company, so my thoughts are along that line when I'm selling equipment. But there might be somebody with a man cave that could really use some speakers that wants to just have an awesome sound system in their man cave. That would be somebody to talk to. Another person that you'd want to relate to or get that information out to would be maybe a church. A lot of churches in our area are doing outdoor services right now. They're in need of sound systems, soundboards, wireless microphones, things like that, things that you may have sitting around your shop that you're not using, that you could get some serious money for that equipment. So just some good thoughts, but there's 5 steps to look for or to kind of think about when selling your equipment. This is Jeremy with Landby Productions. Hey, thanks so much for watching.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Boy, that was a slow segue. It's like, obviously my computer must be, no, it's not bogging down. Hey, we're back again. I was worried there when I clicked it and nothing happened. I'm thinking to myself, oh no, is it going to crash? That would be bad. So you got some tips for talking about selling gear. Jeremy, of course, does that. If you've ever spent some time with Jeremy and with that side of it, he is the guy. He can sell used gear like no one I know. He's just crazy with that. Freddie, thank you for joining us. On Facebook, there's a link somewhere up above, Freddie, that if you click on that one, that'll bring you to the YouTube video. That's where we're going to be doing the drawing and such. We're going to be doing 2 drawings tonight to give away a $100 gift certificate to an LFX Pro. That will only be available to those who are on the YouTube feed at this time when we announce the drawing. And also, of course, the last was DJ Event Planner. Troy Ackerman and DJ Event Planner are big sponsors of DJNTV, and they are helping to sponsor this event and our upcoming virtual expo that's coming up here in October. And we'll get more information to you guys on that. So, Brian, I wanted to take us a couple of seconds because I saw your video, the recent video where you talked about yacht rock a little bit. And you were mentioning off camera that some people confuse yacht rock with being a genre. It kind of explain, for those who are like yacht rock, I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is. What is it?
The best way I can describe it, and I've thought about this, I'm trying to figure out how to articulate how to explain to someone what it is. I don't believe it is a genre. I believe it's just, to coin a phrase that a lot of the YouTube song or video reactors, you've seen those reaction videos.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
The kids listen to music from the 70s and the 80s or whatever. It's a vibe. It's kind of like when you're playing a set for dancing or something at an event, you're really thinking about how the next song goes with the song you're currently playing and how they'll work together and how it'll keep that dance floor going, opposed to clearing it because you've completely changed things. So yacht rock is a vibe. There are many, many genres that work in the yacht rock vibe. And I'm going to try to do a more advanced video on that. I think it's a really interesting exercise in music programming. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's a lot of DJs that just don't seem to get it. So I'm going to try to help with that.
Explain the vibe, if you could, of what yacht rock feels like.
It's smooth. It's got high production values. Some people think it's soft rock. but it's not. There's a lot of soft rock that's kind of sad and sleepy. It's not sleepy music at all. It's more up-tempo music for the most part. And pretty much anything, we were talking off camera, pretty much anything Michael McDonald has ever touched qualifies as a yacht rock song. It's the same with like Steely Dan. But even having said that, thinking about Michael McDonald's catalog, you can look at his Doobie Brothers stuff, you can look at his solo stuff, you can look at songs that he sang backup on. If you take all those songs and you look at them, yacht rock is about picking the best song from that list to fit the current vibe, if that makes any sense to you. So yes, songs like If It Keeps You Running by the Doobie Brothers, technically is a Doobie Brothers song. It is sang by Michael McDonald, but it might not be the best choice for yacht rock. You might want to go with something like What a Fool Believes, or God forbid, Yamo Be There with James Ingram, which is not my favorite song. But it works in the yacht rock vibe.
It fits the vibe.
Yeah. The captain's hat kind of thing.
Looking forward to for more work on that, because we've talked about that on a lot of our Tuesday night shows of what that is, and we've had some fun with that and identifying it. It's always interesting. You're talking about a vibe in this, and some of the songs that are thrown out in the chat room. It's like, no.
Yeah. So it was like, Kenny Loggins. Yeah, a lot of Kenny Loggins songs are yacht rock, but Footloose isn't one of them.
Yeah, Danger Zone, not one of them.
That sounds more like, Tony Basil, Mickey. It's got that drum beat to it. It's not smooth. It doesn't have the production value. That's more of an 80s song.
For sure.
And yacht rock only just barely just touches the 80s. Doesn't go into it too much.
Yeah, mainly the 70s.
I don't know, something I'll do a video on now that I have my replacement camera.
Excellent. Looking forward to that. Speaking of music, we're going to be next on the schedule. We've got Mike Walter, and Mike Walter is doing the behind the scenes, or the behind the music. He's got a book out on this with the music history that has one song that he looks at each day of the year, and it's a really cool book that you guys can check out. I'll put the link into the chat so you guys can see that or get that book if you're interested. But Mike's going to be talking a little bit about the Beatles' Twist and Shout.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Walter here with a little behind-the-scenes music story just for you. Did you ever play Twist and Shout at your weddings? The Beatles version, Twist and Shout. You ever wonder why John Lennon's voice is so raspy and that sounds like sandpaper almost? There's a story behind that. When the Beatles were first signed in 1962 by Parlophone Records, nobody really thought they were going to be that big of a deal. In fact, their first single, Love Me Do, I think it hit like 17 on the UK pop charts. It wasn't even released in the States, which was moderately successful, but not like through the roof. And then they released Please Please Me in January of 1963. That's the song that went to #1, and that's when Parlophone was like, oh, we got something going on here? Maybe this band is going to be big. So obviously Parlophone wanted to get them into the studio right away and get 10 more tracks cut so that they could release an entire album by this new group, the Beatles. They booked them for one day, February 11th, 1963. One long day at Abbey Road Studios, which is where George Martin was the producer and started working with them. And told them, you need to bang out 10 songs in this one long session so that we can have an album with the first 2 singles and their B-sides. That would make 14 songs, and that would be their first album. As it turns out, John Lennon showed up that day with a little bit of a sore throat. So the band shows up that day. They've got their songs laid out that they want to record. They've got 3 4-hour sessions that they can record these in. And one of them, most of them were originals, but one of the songs that they wanted to record was Twist and Shout, which was originally done by the Isley Brothers. It's a song that they played in concert all the time, whenever they played clubs, whenever they entertained. Matter of fact, they often closed their set with it because it was such a highlight, so they figured they would close their first album with it. So throughout the day, Lennon's voice just keeps getting worse and worse. Some songs he sang lead on, some songs he sang backup, but he was really straining his vocal cords, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. Finally, they had 9 songs laid down, and they wanted to record this one last song, Twist and Shout, which John Lennon always took the lead on. The band, George Martin, they all turned to him. They said, you think you got it in you? Can you give us one take of Twist and Shout, even with the scratchy voice? Lennon said, no problem. He eats some lozenges.
Then, for some reason, and he never explained why, he actually stripped off his shirt, so he sang it shirtless. The band ripped into it. He sang Twist and Shout with every last vocal cord he had. That's why his version is so scratchy, and really, it sounds like sandpaper. They finished the song. He's literally like almost bleeding from his throat. George Martin likes to take, he says, do you have one more in you? Lennon says, I don't know, maybe I do. The band kicks in again. Lennon opens up his mouth. Nothing comes out. He couldn't even sing after that one version of Twist and Shout. So the version that we know and the version that you and I rock at so many of our events, it was recorded at the very end of a long day. John Lennon had a sore throat. He was hoarse. And it was one take. That song is done in one take. John Lennon said it took weeks after that for his voice to return to normal. So the next time you rock Twist and Shout, think about that. Think about a young John Lennon, not famous yet. The Beatles haven't broken worldwide yet. They're giving it their all, and Lennon sings that song on his last vocal cord.
All right, that was Mike Walter talking a little bit about Twist and Shout. I always love looking back at older music, you know, and the shows that we went back to the 60s and 70s and the stories behind them. It's just, I absolutely love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and he was also, I believe, the stunt double in Miami Vice for Don Johnson.
Yes, that's pretty much what it was. Yes,
yeah,
probably the better looking.
I thought.
So Brian, it's been a weird year. A lot of DJs, and myself included, we pretty much have been sitting at home. But recently, you've actually gotten to go out and do a couple of shows this past weekend included. Kind of give us, for those of us who haven't been out doing some weddings, how has this year been different than past years when it comes to the actual day of performance?
Event. I would say that every event that I've done has the best intentions.
Okay.
To be as responsible as reasonably possible given the current circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my observation, and I did a video on this last night and I posted it. Everybody, or shouldn't say everybody, but there are a lot of people, most people at these events have every intention of wearing a mask. In fact, I did an event last month where you had to sign a waiver before you entered the venue that A, you're going to wear a mask, B, you were going to socially distance, and C, if you caught anything, you weren't going to sue the venue for it.
Yeah.
So that's weird. That was very different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wear a mask, though, through the duration of the event. But it's interesting because there are a few times that you don't wear a mask, just in general, and that is when you're eating or drinking something. When are you not eating or drinking something at a wedding reception?
Pretty much, yeah. You've got a cocktail in one hand and off you
go.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time, I don't know how it is where everyone else lives, but here it kicks off with cocktail. Then you go into dinner. Then you go into dessert. And then it's open bar. Mm-hmm. And people are drinking the whole time.
Last call.
So, although I think they have the best intentions of wearing these masks, they just aren't, because they're constantly eating or drinking. And if they go out and dance for a song or two, I think they're kind of thinking to themselves, well, I've had the mask off for 3 hours, so I need to put it on for 10 minutes to go on the dance floor. It's kind of where I see it. I think those who are not doing events see photos and videos from those who are, and the first criticism is, where are the masks? Well, that's where they are. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're not wearing them. It's not because they're necessarily being defiant or they're rebelling against it or they're denying that there's something. I believe that it really has to do with just they're eating and drinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. But, having said that, for me anyway, I'm just trying to be as careful as possible. And I have noticed that the bartenders and staff are also, being very responsible with masks, and just, the way they're handling things has been fantastic so far. Just from my observations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's going to be one of those things I think that everyone's going to have to do the best they can.
Right.
I think is pretty much to say. And sometimes it's going to work better than others, and we just have to hope for the best. So. And
if John Young jumps off a cliff, that doesn't mean you should too.
Yeah.
So
Well, actually, it does. You
Not
should.
John specifically, but anybody.
Yeah.
You know, well, everyone else is doing it. Well, I don't care. You do the right thing. So that's kind of been my philosophy going out there and working, just trying to be as responsible and respectful as possible to everyone.
Let me pop that down. Excellent. We're going to continue on here, gang. We've got Shani Barnett up next, and Shani's going to be kind of keeping it real and giving you some motivation during these difficult times that we've been having here so far in 2020.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing out there? I am Shani Barnett out of Chicago, and for those that have seen some of the videos I do with John, we're either talking music or I'm trying to motivate you guys, and right now it's all about motivation. So I have some notes that I took, so if you see me looking down, it's because I want to make sure I drop the right knowledge to you guys. Right now with this pandemic, we are dealing with the unknown. And you know what? We realize we have no choice. We need to move forward in our lives, and we need to figure things out. And the way to survive right now is to change with the times. Now, if you're like me, you hate change. I mean, Facebook changes and I hate it. Just the little things I hate that change. My credit card company sends me a new credit card, and now I got to memorize the last 4 numbers of that. And it's change. I hate change. But we realize that we need to change to survive. So we all need to take a deep breath. And we need to know how to handle the situations that are in. I'm going to talk about 3 things with you guys right now. We're going to get the bad one out of the way. We're going to talk about negativity. We're going to talk about happiness. And we're going to talk about patience. So the first thing is negativity. We never want to hear that word. We don't want to be around it. So how do we get it out of our lives? First away, we need to get away from the negativity. And the worst thing that a human can do to another human is bring negativity to them. We hate it. Life is too big and time is too short. So we can't get caught up in that empty drama that comes with that negativity. Whatever brings you down, get rid of it. When I say whatever, I also mean whoever brings you down. Get rid of that. Get rid of that person. You don't need negative stuff in your life. Cut them out. If they don't make you feel good, why do you need them there? Negativity brings so much drama and dead weight, and we just need to get rid of it. So you know what you need to do? You need to bring people around you who make you feel good. And when I say they make you feel good, I mean they make you feel safe. Think about that for a second. I want you to bring people around you who make you feel good. And by good, I mean safe. What does that mean? Safe means these are the type of people who respect you. Not only do they respect you when they're talking to you and they're in front of you or having a conversation. I mean, a lot of us aren't face to face right now. But when you're not around, they respect you. Those are the type of people that will always make you feel safe and you know they have your back. Who's in your circle? Think about it. If these people are always negative and always saying bad stuff, think about if they're saying bad stuff about you and you're not around. Change your circle. It's okay. Change it. Bring some people in that make you feel safe. That's how you separate yourself from everybody else. Because you do that, you're going to elevate yourself. Yes or yes? I hope you said yes to that. All right. The second thing I want to talk about with you guys is happiness. Who doesn't want to be happy? I know I want to be happy right now. Not so happy. Okay. So the way to be happy, first of all, be your number one fan. Who's going to be there for you? You're always going to be there for you. Be your number one fan. How do you be your number one fan? First of all, I know a lot of people laugh about this. I don't do it, but I might start doing it. I know when people post like on Facebook or on Instagram or any type of social media, you always kind of chuckle at the person who always likes their own post. Or maybe they're the first one to like their own post, so when you see it, there's only one person that liked it, and it's themselves. Who cares? They're their number one fan. I am all for that. Support yourself. Be your number one fan. Don't compare yourself to anyone else, okay? You don't know what their whole story is. You don't know what's happened or what they went through or how they got something or how they didn't get something. Don't worry about those people. Worry about yourself and love yourself. Hit that like button, hit that love button on your own post. It's okay. But to be happy, you have to be your number one fan and you have to love yourself. Stop trying to impress anyone else. Why are you trying to impress them? Especially, why are you trying to impress the people you don't even like? Think about that. We know there's people out there that are always out to impress others, and they're impressing others that they don't even like to be around. What's the outcome? Why are you doing that? What's the end game? Don't worry about them. Do something that makes you happy. Be your number one fan when you do that. Happiness should be your ambition. Happiness is how you win. If you're happy and people see you happy, they're going to be like, wow, that person's happy. They're winning. Win, all right? We need happiness. Get out the negativity and let's get happy, all right? The next thing I want to talk about is patience. This is the big thing for everybody. Patience is what's going to get you through everything. Now, not to knock the younger generation, and it's nothing against them, it's how they grew up and the things that are happening nowadays, but the younger generation wants everything now. They want it right now, it's gotta happen right now, why isn't this happening right now? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, happen now, 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 now. And guess what? You have to put in the work. Okay, people? Put in that work. And how do you put in that work? You gotta have patience. You gotta have patience to put in that work. You know, if you want to be great at something, you got to put in the work, but it's going to take time. I mean, think about some of the greats in sports, okay? Michael Jordan is my GOAT. I know he's not some of the other people's GOAT, but Michael Jordan had to put in the work. He was terrible in high school. He got cut in high school. He put in that work. If anybody watched The Last Dance or even know his history or anything, he was always putting in the work. He was always practicing. He was always working out. He was always doing the extra things he needs to do. But it's patience. You got to put in that work. You got to do what you're supposed to be doing. Do you have the patience? If you don't, you got to practice it. Okay, you got to do whatever it takes to get where you want to go. There's no excuses. It's not going to be easy. It's not. But once you get to the top, trust me, you're going to be happier than you were before, and you could high five your number one fan, which is yourself, so you could give yourself a high five. Okay, but it's not going to happen overnight, people. It's not. Things that happen overnight to others, I don't know about that. That's a little suspect for me, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about patience and what you can do. So let me also tell you, like I brought up Michael Jordan, I'm also going to bring up Prince to you guys. I don't know if you guys know about Prince. Well, a lot of you know about Prince, but I don't know if you know the backstory of how he started. Prince didn't have any money. Prince knew he wanted to make music. Prince knew he wanted to cut an album. Well, a lot of us know that takes a lot of money. What did Prince do? He got a job as a janitor at the studio where he wanted to cut the album. So what did he do? He worked as a janitor so he could get studio time to make the music and make the album. He put in the time. He was patient. He did what he had to do. Do you think he wanted to be a janitor? No, he didn't want to be a janitor. But he didn't care what other people think. He did what made him happy, and that was music, and he did whatever it took to get to where he wanted to be. Okay, so put in the work, people, all right? But you got to be patient about it, and you will have positive results with that. You got to trust the process. Do you understand that? I hope you guys understand that. So those are my 3 things for you guys, and I'm going to end with this, okay? You either can do it now, or you can stop the video and do it later. It's totally up to you. But I want you guys to pick up your phone. If your phone's by you, you can even do this now while I'm talking. So pick up your phone, and I want you to scroll through your contacts in your address book. Scroll through it, start it from the beginning or start it from the end, however is easiest for you to scroll up and scroll down. And I want you to stop on every name that makes you feel safe. Remember what I told you about people that make you feel safe? Hopefully you have a lot in your contact list. And every person in your contact list that makes you feel safe, I want you to text them. You could say whatever you want to say, or you could just say, hey man, I miss you. I'm just checking in. let's connect soon, and set up a time that you either text or you FaceTime, or you actually call somebody and set up the time and just talk to that person, because those are the people that make you happy. Those are the people that make you safe. Those are the people you want to be around. All right? So do that, please, in the next couple days. Send me a message, on my Instagram, my Facebook, my Snapchat, however you guys know to contact me, because I want to know if you did this and if it worked for you. And hopefully during all this craziness, she'll make some changes and you guys will start feeling happy, and you'll be your #1 fan, and you'll get that negativity out, and you'll have some patience. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. This is Shani Barnett. I'll see you guys next time.
All right, that was Shani Barnett there, kind of giving you some tips to be, she said it, be happy. But I mean, I think that's one of the things that we've seen in 2020. It's like people just have a hard time enjoying or showing joy of any sort. And I get that, but life is too short to be so grumpy and all the time. So yeah, when she talks about that, the one thing, Brian, I think she mentioned towards the end, where talking to people who make you happy, and it kind of extending that, the idea of communicating with others in our industry and hanging out like you guys are doing in the chill room. For those who haven't been there, give us a little kind of a synopsis of what's been kind of going on in the chill room.
It's been interesting. We've had this group that just gets together, and there are special guest stars that show up once in a while, but for the most part, it's a pretty core group that comes in. We know about what time everybody's coming in, and we've got people from all over the world who join us. We have seasoned DJs, we have relatively new DJs, we have relatively young people, relatively old farts. It's fun, and we talk about all kinds of things. And we know what's going on with each other and their families and our kids and brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers, because we care, and it's just a place to kind of go and unplug and unwind and, maybe share some ideas. It's a real interesting social experiment that I'm actually pretty proud of.
Yeah. That was a great idea.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. When you came up with that concept, and starting back in February at the convention, and really we just kind of, once things went, extended that concept, and there we are. It's a nice nightly spot. If you want to go check it out and you haven't been there, go to djntv.com/chill. That's a quick link to get you there, and then it takes you to a Zoom meeting. There's people who are meeting in there at pretty much all hours of the day, but most of the time it's in those later evening hours where people hang out.
Usually about 9 and after. There are some folks that come in early, and they'll be there until it's their bedtime. They maybe have a day job they have to go to, so you can always count on Scott Carroll. He's going to be there first, and he's probably going to leave by about 10-11 o'clock his time, because he's got to get up and go to work.
Yep.
But then Alex, who we'll see a little later on tonight, Alex the Bubble in Cyprus, he's not going to come in until about 3 in the morning. Because that's his time.
He's getting
so everybody's got their time, and then it's really interesting to see. You can kind of look at the clock and say, it's about time for them to come in, and sure enough, here they are. They pop in.
That they do. Gang, we're going to get to our contest, our first contest tonight. We're going to be doing the drawing right now. You need to be in the YouTube chat right now. So if you are on Facebook, I just put the link. Click that. Go to the YouTube chat. Brian, I need a word that they need to type into the chat. What would that word be?
This is an NLFX contest.
Correct.
Ben Stowe is a Star Wars fan.
Yes.
Let's go with Yoda.
Yoda. Okay. Put Yoda into the chat room. You've got 2 minutes from right now to do that. So right there. Okay. Yoda, only do it once in the chat, because once you put it in, that is your entry. And I'm going to jot them down as we go here. Because all of a sudden it just goes ding, 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 ding. It was like
YODA Yoda.
Yeah, YODA. That will be much easier than last night when Bill put.
I see one. I see a bunch of Yodas coming in now.
Yeah, there
Here
we
they
go.
come.
And I've got to stop. It went scrolling right up.
Oh, it's going crazy.
Go ahead. I've got to type these down as you can see it.
Baby Yoda. You're disqualified, Jimmy. Remember, one time only. Do not enter more than one.
Yes, please. That way we don't get we don't get things mixed up here.
Okay. You feel pretty confident about moving on?
You go ahead. You talk. I'm typing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're okay. They've gone as soon as I've touched the screen. It goes. Zzzt, so I got to get back to. Let's see. Where are we? Oh my. Okay, there we go.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I'll get them.
They all spelled it right for the most part. I see Toyotas. I see a lot of things. Stop typing. Just stop for a minute.
Yes.
That means you too, Jimmy. Knock it off. See, I don't normally monitor this stuff, but I'm doing it tonight. So
yeah, you get to watch. Thank you guys for being with us. By the way, we got a great crowd.
Yeah, got a really nice crowd. Got 54,000 people watching me. In
yeah, we got
in Milwaukee. There are more people than that watching globally. So John is working out some magic here, and then
I'm typing them down.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yep, I'm typing them in, and we're numbering everybody, so that way we have the contest is going to be as fair as possible.
You're locked in on your numbers here. Yes, I see what you're doing. Now, Jimmy, knock it off. Stop it.
Don't mess it up, Jimmy. You make things difficult.
Jimmy always makes things difficult.
He does.
It's what he does. Oh, by the way, Jimmy, for that Yacht Rock video I want to do, if you want to make me a thumbnail with me with a captain's hat on, that would be really cool. I think that would be neat. Now use it. If you have a minute to put a Thurston Howell III captain's hat on me. On some picture that you
that
find.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah. I think that would be funny. Okay. And Jimmy will do something outrageous with it.
I'm getting there. There we go. There's more signing up here today.
Look at all these Yodas. Somebody's going to get $100. Somebody's going to get $100 gift certificate. Wow, if I had a $100 gift certificate, what would I buy right now? I know. Evolve 30M bags. That's what I would buy.
Yeah.
Because I need those.
Yep, they are nice. They now actually have the ones that fit.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, early on they just didn't discombobulated. That was the word from last night.
But I have absolutely nothing, so yeah, and I'm using them, being very careful with them. But yeah, I was anti
in the last
bagging speakers for a long time, just because it felt like something else I had to keep track of, and my particular situation, the less I had to keep track of, the better. I was just going to scar the speakers up and say the hell with it, replace them the next year. But now that I'm using bags, I'm all about bags.
Okay, we have 34 entries.
34.
Wait a second, I've got to check and see. One of the...
He's double checking. And, depending on which time you typed in Yoda, like the first person who typed Yoda, you're 1, second person 2,
yes, yep.
Third 3, so on and so forth. That's how John has written this down.
Yes, and that's why we want to make sure we are only doing one one. That way it doesn't get all messed up. And now we're going to switch over. So we're going to be off screen, Brian, but now the number generator is up, and I've got to go and set that to, it's 1 through 34. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Brian, he's going to pick a number between 1 and 5. And for each number that he's given me, we're going to click that generator. Actually, Brian, let's go between 3 and 10. Because we need to have a
that
few
way I'm not a smart ass and say 1.
Yeah, because then it would be the first. And that's the number of times we're going to click and regenerate the number. And that way, it's a completely random as we can possibly random. So
Yep, I like
1 through 34. Brian, what is our number we're going to click here?
Lucky number 7.
7. So the first time is number 17. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. There's 6. Now, so this person, David actually won last night, and David is basically like the second place. So he is like, could have had, but he didn't. So this is our winner of this round, is number 7, which is Steve MCC. Steve out there, congratulations. You are the winner of a $100 gift certificate to NLFX Pro. Steve, you need to reach out to me. They're on Facebook. Message me if we're connected on Facebook. Otherwise, email john@discjockeynews.com. I need your email and information so that I can get that to NLFX, and then they will get you set up with that. That certificate. So thank you for being with us, and congratulations on that.
Well done.
Excellent. That worked out well.
Fair.
Well. Okay, let's see. Let's jump right into our next session, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit. Alex will be after. Brian Kelm's up next. Brian, actually, this is a presentation he's been doing for different groups. He's got an hour presentation, and he basically took some of the tips from that presentation and put those together for us for this particular session. I don't have a full title.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Kelm for the DJNTV Talks. Thank you so much for tuning in. The topic I want to share with you guys is titled, Whose Side of the Fence Are You On? I'm going to take a 1-hour conversation and presentation that I gave it last night to a virtual group of wedding planners, and I'm going to cut it down into 5 different things, 5 different key points to consider and apply to your business and get value out of. So the first one is take ownership of every experience. And what that means is it's outside of your normal duties. If you need to stack chairs, if you need to mop the floor, if you need to make an extra few phone calls throughout the planning process, whatever that is, to take ownership of the experience, that everything happens in the way it should towards the outcome. When you're at a wedding, for instance, you're working as a team, regardless if you want to or if you like the people that you're working with, meaning the other professionals. But all that matters is the outcome that the bride and groom are creating with you, or they desired to have when you came into the picture and they reserved you. So no matter what it is, take ownership of every experience that you're a part of. There is no need to have drama. There is no need to, these tiffs and all of this kind of stuff, is because the outcome is all that matters in a bride and groom's eyes. Part number 2 are some questions to ponder. How do your customers perceive your commitment? That obviously is not going to become known until you start working with them for a while. But how do they perceive that you're serving them and your commitment to them? You're there to provide and give value. You're there to facilitate no matter what it is. You're there to talk them down off a ledge if they're stressed out, if they're suffering from anxiety, whatever it might be. This is above and beyond just providing entertainment, for instance, at their wedding. This goes above and beyond that. You're there to help them. You're there to relate to them. You're there to get to know them. Obviously, if you choose to have something that's very personal, a part of your business. Question number 2 is, how do your customers perceive your love? Yes, I did say love. Being a word-of-mouth and referral-based business, hopefully you're creating that space where you wanna work so hard for customers that they love you. They can't go down the street without telling somebody how great you did, how great of a job you did for them, and they're going to tell everybody about you. And the beautiful part is that might even happen before they get married. It's such a beautiful place to be in, but it's got to be authentic, it's got to be real, and it's got to be honest. It cannot be faked. And that's the beautiful part. When they feel it, That's all that matters. And then the third question to consider is, how do your customers perceive your care? How do they perceive how much you care for them? And that's another thing that is developed throughout the planning process. But I cannot speak enough about how much you care for your customers is going to show up by everything you do, how you help them, all the emails, the phone calls, the shout outs on Facebook, all the different interactions that you have with them is going to mean so much to them as the days go by leading up to their wedding. Part number 3 is the fence. On the graphic, there's a fence, and then there's a dark side, and then there's a sunny side. The fence is any barrier that gets in the way from you and a customer. Now, at best, when we're on our side of the fence trying to relate to a bride and groom, we're trying to reach over and relate to their world. That reaching over is assuming at best. We don't know what's going on in their world unless they tell it to us or unless we find out. When we're on the customer side of the fence, they have a whole bunch of stuff going on, but if we commit to being on their side of the fence, we're going to be made aware in the course of time, after they like us and trust us and they feel that it's authentic and real, that there's not anything that they won't do. There's not any information that they won't give us. And it's such a coveted place to be. Let me give you a couple examples. Is a trade show booth. Experts say that never have a table in front of a trade show booth. Why? The reason why is because it deters connection. It deters relatedness. The fence is no different. Any deterrent that gets in the way of you being right there with your customer, socializing, vulnerable and transparent, is something that needs to be removed from the space. Because if you find out later on that was the cause of it, you would go back and remove it immediately. Let's also look at social media and how we communicate these days. A lot of people may argue with this, and that's okay, but video, looking in the video camera, sending a personal message, engaging with people so they can feel your passion, your excitement level, your personality is always going to be the best way. It's direct. It's straightforward, and there's no ambiguity in terms of what you're talking about. Where the fence can come into play is if you have an opportunity to send a video or a video email where all they do is have to press play on the top of the video, no buffering or takes them anywhere. Always go for the most direct route that you can communicate with somebody, with a bride and groom, with their parents, whatever it might be. Now, can you send a text? Yes, but will it be as effective as a video? And it doesn't make any difference how short the video is, but obviously the lesser mediums is where your message might come across in such a way that you don't want it to, or that you didn't intend. With video, in the more direct ways, it's your message is your message, and they're going to perceive it in a much more direct way than if you text or email where they're just reading words on a page. Item number 4 is the customer's best interests are all that matters. This is all that matters. Now, this is probably the most neutral space to be in, because we're not bringing our personal interest involved in this. We're acting as professionals. We're looking at it rationally, common sense. When we combine our professionalism and our expertise, along with the bride and groom and their story, and then with the outcome that we're looking to create in that given moment, that's what their best interest is. If we ever hear ourselves saying that here's what I would do, that might imply that it's what we would do personally, but we need to keep our personal views out of it because it's their event, it's not ours. We're there to guide and direct them. We're not there to choose for them. But the best part in all of that is that we're able to give them possible outcomes that may happen based on the choices that we give them. And then they're free to choose. So their best interests are always going to be most important, but it's also it could be a slippery slope if it's not shared in a very humble, straightforward, and common sense manner. The 5th item is in every moment. So let's go back to the visual, the title slide. In every moment, you're on your side of the fence or you're on their side of the fence. It's a day-by-day phenomenon. It's something that you do in every moment. And I cannot stress enough for the work that you put in to get over on the customer side of the fence. It will pay off a lot. Your connection with them is going to be deeper. You're going to be able to perform better. And you're going to know them in such a way that that'll create memories just in itself. That when you talk to them after their wedding, you're friends. And hopefully you want to create close friendships, close relationships, where you can reminisce down the road about the experience that they had, all that came out of it, but the difference you made in their life. But that's got to be a choice. So just remember, is that we all have stuff going on. Kids, marriage, projects, everything like that. But we're either in our own little world trying to connect to theirs, or we're on their side of the fence connecting to their world. And obviously that shows up really quickly when the closer it gets to their wedding. They're stressed out, they're nervous, they've never done this before, and the closer that we can relate to their world and being on their side of the fence, taking it all in, we're prepared for this, we observe a lot, we discover a lot, we can be in the most coveted place that we can be. But it comes from, we earn that. Being on the customer side of the fence is coveted, it's priceless, and there's not a greater place to be. So thank you so much, everyone. This is Brian Kelm on behalf of DJNTV Talks. Enjoy the rest of the sessions. Thank you.
So that was Brian Kelm. If you guys haven't had a chance to meet Brian Kelm, Brian is also one of the writers, and I got to shut off so I don't have this feedback going on. Brian's one of the writers with the Disc Jockey News, and he is in each month's paper and kind of gives you the more that motivational, kind of that kick in the butt type of a jolt each and every month. So just once again, thanks for Brian for being with us with the show tonight. Then after Brian, there was a little commercial there giving you the months for the next DJNTV DJ Talks. We're going to be doing one in January. We're going to be doing one in, I think we have April, and then we'll be coming back next fall with one in the fall. So there's going to be more of these coming on. So if you couldn't get in on this one and you'd like to present in a future one, just reach out to me and we'll be getting the word out as we get closer. But the next one will be January. I think it's 11th and 12th. Of 2021 when we do the next DJ Talks. So
and there's free stuff possibly in it for you too,
there will be free stuff in it, yes, because right now again I think there's 20 presenters or something, 21 presenters, whatever, we're in that ballpark, and there's two of the 21 people are going to walk away with $500 certificates. So that's not a bad, 1 in 10 basically is getting
right.
something. So, and it's a pretty cool something. So it's pretty cool. So Alex Georgilou, excuse me. I've got
Alex the Bubble.
Alex the Bubble, who's with us in the chat room. So thanks for being with us, Alex. Brian, tell us a little bit about Alex. You've spent a little time and have known of him for a while.
I've gotten to know Alex.
Yeah,
I've gotten to know Alex in the chill room, and Alex has been on my social media feeds for many years, and I always see Alex the Bubble, and I'm like, what does that mean? Does he live in a bubble? Come to find out, it totally makes sense. I'll make this I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Alex is from London, specifically the East End of London. His mother is British and his father was Greek. There's a language almost that they speak. There's a thing they do in the East End of London, specifically in the East End of London, called Cockney. And there's slang words for everything you can think of. I mean, if you've ever seen Austin Powers when Michael Caine and Mike Myers were speaking English, they were speaking Cockney. Okay. In Cockney, bubble and squeak is Greek because Greek and squeak rhyme. I'm not sure where bubble and squeak came from, but bubble and squeak. However, the Cockneys will eliminate the rhyming word and just use the other word. So the bubble would be the Greek in Cockney.
it just makes absolutely no sense to me.
Hey man, it's an East End London thing. You wouldn't understand.
Probably not so much. So, Alex is going to be taking us actually out to a very scenic location because he does a lot of destination events, and he's going to kind of share some of the gear he uses at his destination events.
Oh, by the way, just to, I don't know, not create confusion here. He now lives in Cyprus.
Okay.
So you're going to be seeing a beautiful beach in Cyprus somewhere.
Excellent. Excellent. Which is almost as nice as Milwaukee, but not quite.
Not quite.
Here's Alex, everyone.
Hi, and welcome to my video for the DJNTV DJ Talks. I'm Alex, and you guessed it, I'm a DJ. I live here in Cyprus, which I have done for the last 10 years, and I specialise in destination weddings from the United Kingdom, of which I normally do around 100 to 120 bookings per season. In fact, this particular venue is one of my regular wedding venues that I work at. And as you can see, there's probably worse places you could be. Anyway, during this 10-minute video, I'll be going through my small compact setup, showing you how you can create a quick and easy system for up and around 150 people. I will go through what equipment I'll be using and what simple tricks I use to make a clean, quick setup and teardown system. Some of which you may know and others you may not. Another thing to remember is you don't want to be at the venue any longer than you need to be after the gig. The venue staff don't want to be watching and waiting for you to load your vehicle. So without any further ado, let's have a look at the kit I'll be using for today's system. Now, as you can see here on the table, I have various items from sound to lighting and the cables that join it all together. And that's what we'll start with, the cables. Now, a couple of things when it comes to cable management that can really help you save time is cable ties. For example, on these two cables here, I have a bungee cable tie. Now, the cable itself is actually permanently on the cable, so when you take the cable tie off, you don't have to remember where you put them or anything like that. And then once the cable's bound up, you simply turn it round and it hooks onto itself as well. So that is a great idea. It saves time. It means that your cables don't get all jingle-jangled up and tangled up in your bag, and you're not going to spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of your setup detangling everything. Now, as these are power speakers, and we'll get onto them in a minute, another thing that I've done is with my power and audio signal cable for the speakers is I've actually bound them together. Now, this is perfectly right as long as both your power and your signal cable are well insulated and they are high quality speakers. But obviously by doing this, you're actually laying out one cable to the speaker and from the mixer, so you're only having to do it once, which means again that's a few minutes either side that you're saving. And a few minutes here and a few minutes there, that's what counts. That's what's going to give you a nice, quick and easy setup. Now this brings me on to the audio part of my setup. These are the Opera 910 DXs from DB Technologies. They are a 10-inch powered speaker which put out an output of 129 SPL, and they only weigh 12 kilos or around 26 pounds, which is great when lifting onto speaker stands, as there's less chance of you putting out your back. At 129 SPL, they pack a decent punch, and this is the important number to remember when looking for speakers, rather than the number of watts. If you feel the need, you could also put a 12-inch subwoofer underneath the table for sound reinforcement without creating a bigger footprint. Remember, you only need to put sound on the dance floor, not the whole venue. I use two mics in my system. I have this one here which is wired, and that will be plugged into the controller. This will be my personal mic. And then I also have this one here which is wireless, as you can see, and this is going to be used for toast or speeches. Both of them are made by Shure, and both of them are from the PG58 series of microphones. The controller I use is the SX2 from Pioneer. I chose this controller for its weight. As a mobile DJ, you don't want to have a heavy unit. It has XLR outputs which go straight to the speakers, which is great because you don't need to have a mixer for that, it's direct sound. And of course 2 mic inputs and reasonable size jog wheels as well. So it's nice and you've got very good dexterity and hands-on feel. Next we have the lighting fixtures, which are from American DJ. Today we'll be using 2 of the quad-phase HP 32 watt moonflowers, and these will be mounted onto the speaker stands with O-clamps. This means that you don't have to have the need of a lighting tree. Again, the HPs will also have 2 of the Pocket Pros. These are 25 watt moving head with gobos built in, and you can change the gobos if you wish. You can change them in and out. Even though these are small lighting fixtures, they do put out a lot of light for just a 25 and 35 watt system. Of course, I'll be pairing them up and running master slave to both the Pocket Pros and master slave to both of the HPs. You can run DMX if you wish, but that's for another video. And finally, let's talk about table and laptop stand. Even these are important for saving time. As you see, this is a 4x2 foot table, which will put the controller, the two moving heads either side, the rescue mic, and the laptop stand. Now, the laptop stand is made by Hercules, and it's very simple to set up. You simply undo either side. You can then open it up. You can adjust the height. There you go, you've got three settings there. This one, boom. And then once you've got the height right, you tighten up each side. And there you have it. Super tight, super strong. You can put a controller on there. You can put whatever you want on there. It ain't going anywhere. So that is a nice, easy setup stand. It's not like some other stands. I won't mention any brands, but obviously some other stands, you're sitting there with screws and it's multi this and this. For a mobile setup, that is brilliant. Easy peasy, you've seen how quickly it's put together. Now, a small table is easy to carry, and this also means less room for people to put their drinks on the table. The last thing you want is liquid and DJ equipment mixing together. The only thing that should be mixing at a gig is the music. Also, if you have your own table, you can start to set up as soon as you wish and you enter the venue, rather than sometimes having to wait for the staff to simply give you a table because they thought you didn't really need one for some reason. So that's what's going to go into the system. Let's see what it looks like when it's all set up. Let's cue the time-lapse video. So now that it's all set up, I'll quickly point to things and state the obvious. Here we have the HP32s mounted on the stands with the O-clamps, as I mentioned before. With that, we have the moving heads on the table, so no need for a lighting stand, increasing your footprint. We have the wide mic. That's for myself, my own personal use there for announcements, etc. And then hiding behind the moving head here, we have the bass and the bass for the wireless mic and the wireless mic itself. Now, one other thing I will mention is I have, just in case, to be on the safe side, made these little signs here that simply say no drinks on the DJ table. We also have one of these, and what this is one of two halves of the extension that you get on a DJ mixer. So if you wanted to have a DJ mixer that's a 19-inch rack mountable, you get these to put either side to be able to mount that in. Now, what I've done with this is covered it in felt, and then this actually just fits very nicely between the SX2 controller and its flight case. It fits in there nice and snug, nice and firm as well, and I use this as a mouse table, and that just means that I'm bending over and straining my back in any way. That's the last thing you want to do when you're doing a 4, 5, 6 hour gig, is to start straining it and you really feel it in the morning. Now, one other thing I do is I always carry a little brush. Now, this particular brush I've trimmed off the edges to make it more pointy, and I use that every time I do a gig just to brush off any dust from either my laptop or the controller as well. Most of my gigs are like here, for example, which are outside. So you can imagine, obviously, by being outside all the time, your equipment may get a little bit more dustier than being inside. So that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful. And don't forget as well, DJNTV do host a DJ chill room, which is on Zoom. It happens every evening or every morning, depending on where you are in the world. And we have DJs from all over the world. It's just basically a little Zoom chat room that you can come in, you can chat to other DJs, but anything you want, not necessarily kit. So again, thank you very much, John, for that. If you want to find details, you can find details of how to get into the chill room via John's DJNTV. And just basically say one last thing, in the words of Jonathan and Brian, practice and enjoy. Thank you.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Hi everyone, Karie Lynn here from Dynamite Reflections Entertainment in Brainerd, Minnesota. And I'm just here today to talk a little bit about professionalism and how you can really amplify your business if it's something that you want to make a business as a DJ. And some of you will go, this is all stuff that I know. A lot of it is common sense for a lot of people, but not everyone. So I just wanted to touch on some of that information. I have been in business next year 20 years, which is shocking to me. And in that time, I have learned so much about myself and about DJing and what kind of a DJ I am and what kind of a DJ I want to be. And I'm okay with who I am. I know a lot of other DJs out there would say, well, you're not even a real DJ. And that's fine. You can judge. It's fine. But honestly, there has to be all kinds of DJs. So, that brings me to my first point is being kind to each other, because we all have to be here. There's plenty of work for everyone. And you never know when you're going to need another DJ to pick up a gig, or you might run into them. There's no reason to be mean or rude to each other. There's so much work out there, and I live in a very small area. I think there's 13,000 people in our little town of Brainerd here, and there's plenty of work for everybody here. In fact, I can't get enough DJs on my team to be able to go out and do gigs, because we're just that busy, which is a good problem. So just be nice to each other. There's no reason not to be there. Like I said, watch your Facebook page when you're posting things on Facebook. If you want to stay professional, do things, post things that are professional. Don't put cuss words down. Don't post a bunch about your opinions. I actually have two different keep in contact with everybody, but the majority of my brides and grooms, we're able to share things from their weddings on there. And if I have a video come up or a picture come up, it kind of benefits me too, because they're tagging, oh, we love that picture from our wedding, and or something like that. What a great day. And it reminds their bridesmaids and groomsmen of who we are too. And that's really how we built this business. Honestly, I didn't do much marketing ever. I've really not done any marketing. I think I've done 2 wedding fairs, one